Chef Joe from Clean Eating, and today we're talking about the most essential tool in your kitchen, your knives. Now, we would recommend 3 knives to start off any kitchen collection. We have your chef's knife, and this is great for all your dicing of vegetables, slicing of meats, and general all-purpose work. Next we have your serrated knife, and this is good for carving or slicing bread, also sometimes good for tomatoes. And third we have your paring knife, and this is good for any fine dicing or smaller vegetables. Here we have our chef's knives. Now, chef's knives come in various different lengths, from about 8 inches right up to 12. Now, when you're purchasing your knife, you want to make sure that you can actually hold it in your hand, because they are quite different. Now, the first one we have here is a Japanese blade, and it feels quite light. Now, the next one is a German blade, and this is much heavier in comparison to the Japanese blade. Now, if you look at the back, you'll notice that the back of the German blade in my right hand is much thicker than the Japanese blade. The Japanese blades are great for vegetables and for lean meats that don't have any bones in it. You have to be very careful. If you cut through a bone with this, there's a good chance that you'll nick the blade. Now, the German steel is a lot thicker, and you'll probably be able to cut through a few bones with that, but if you're going to cut through bone, you really want to use a cleaver or something a little bit heavier. Now, this is going to be your essential knife in the kitchen, so you'll want to spend a little bit more money on this knife. You're going to spend over $100 for the knife, so really make sure that you're comfortable with it. If you go to the store and they're not going to let you chop with it or use it or play with it, then chances are you should probably go somewhere else to buy your knife, because this is going to be something you'll use every day for almost everything in your kitchen. When you're holding your knife, you want to make sure that you hold it by the top of the blade. So you want to put your thumb on the top of the blade just before the handle, and your first finger on the opposite side, so you're sort of pinching it. Now you can take your other 3 fingers and wrap them around the handle, like so. So when you release your thumb and your first finger, you're still holding onto the handle with your back 3 fingers. And vice versa, if I hold on to the blade with my first finger and my thumb, I can let go of the handle and still have control of the knife. Now, your serrated knife can be used for slicing anything from breads to carving meats. You can also use it for soft vegetables if it's a little bit more comfortable for you than your chef's knife. For example, a tomato. Now, same rules apply as when you're cutting with your chef's knife. You want to keep your fingers in and not flat out, and just with one straight motion, glide it right through whatever you're cutting. Now, you're going to hold your serrated knife a little bit differently than your chef's knife. You're not going to hold the blade on this one. You want to just hold the handle and make sure that your fingers aren't anywhere near the blade. Here we have our paring knife. Now, paring knives are really essential. They're great little guys to have around. I usually have about 2 or 3 paring knives. You can get them, they're relatively inexpensive. I wouldn't spend $100, $200 on your paring knife. You will use it a lot, but there's some really good quality ones that are a lot less money. So these are really great for any sort of small projects, i.e. these little tomatoes, very tiny, and a big chef's knife would be kind of overkill if you just want to chop this in half. So very simple. You just want to make sure you have a good hold on what you're doing when you're using the paring knife. And for example, this little tomato, I would hold it on both sides and just slice right through the middle. Now, paring knives are also good for small vegetables, small fruit, like lemons. So you can cut lemons in half. You can make little circles and little fancy garnishes with them. Lemon curls. And you can also make a little bit of lemon zest if you don't have a zester in your kitchen. Simply slice off a little bit of just the skin of your lemon and not any of the white pith, and then you can just chop this up very small, and there you've got some lemon zest. Now that you've got your essential knives for your kitchen, you have to take good care of them. One of your next purchases should be a sharpener. Now, I'd recommend one of these pull-through sharpeners. These are fantastic. They have 2 different blades on them to keep your knives honed. The first one is a fine side, and this is something you want to do every time you pick up your knife. So every day when you go to use your knife, you're going to pull it through, And just once or twice is fine. You don't need to do it 10 or 20 times. So just pull it through, and that's just going to hone your knife and keep the edge nice and sharp. Now, once a year or so, you can take your knives to be professionally sharpened, or you can use this coarser grind on this side of the grinder. Now, you would just pull this through the same way, and you can hear it's actually a lot rougher. Now, once you do the coarse, you'll want to go back to the fine just to make sure you get all those nice little edges lined up. After you sharpen your knife, I always recommend you wipe it off with a damp paper towel just to get off any little bits of steel that are built up on your knife. One final tip about sharpeners is that each manufacturer has their own sharpener, so it's really important not to mix brands. Because the steels are different, they're made of different materials, different thicknesses, and also the angles are slightly different. So make sure you get the sharpener that matches your brand of knife. Now that you have your 3 main knives for your kitchen, you can get practicing and be just as fast as those chefs on TV. I'm Chef Jo, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again at cleaneating.com.